I love America, and I have to call things as they are. At this moment, I'm slightly, for the first time in my life, pessimistic about our future. We have, in power, a group that is endeavoring to take away our freedoms, to classify Americans as terrorists, and to institute laws that make it possible to spy on people to a greater degree than offered in the Patriot Act. And as I begin, I just want to remind you, turn that like button blue, thumb up this video, share it. When you thumb it up, I promise you, you're going to get that little endorphin hit. You turn it blue. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Here we go. Of course, these people are the Democrats and people like John Brennan who are equating not only white nationalists, true white nationalists, which do exist, but anybody who supported Trump, MAGA, and libertarians, for God's sakes.
Members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of a country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
Libertarians. Somebody who's in favor of liberty, who doesn't conform to the orthodox view, is being put on the terror list, the no-fly list. This is if they had all their wishes. These are the talking points that are going out on MSNBC. And the goal, of course, is you make the big ask and then you pull back and you say, just the MAGA people. Well, no, you don't get any of that. That's why I stand with Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, my favorite Democrat, who called John Brennan and Adam Schiff enemies of the state with far greater power than the MAGA people who invaded the Capitol had. And again, that's not all MAGA people. That's a tiny, tiny subsection of them.
All of this just goes to further tear our country apart. And it moves towards the thing Joe Biden said in his inauguration speech that he shouldn't happen, which is a dehumanization of your opponent. And that's where his voice is so necessary right now. He is the president of this country. He delivered this speech, his voice, himself, speaking to the American people. He needs to denounce people like John Brennan and their statements, bills like the one Adam Schiff put forward, and truly speak to the American people about how we must come together around, you know, the Constitution, around our Bill of Rights, around these rights that have been endowed to us by our Creator.
This is the horror that is going on in America. And what really makes me unfortunately pessimistic, and I want to bring this to your attention, are the schools. When you have the 1619 Project being taught, this afactual history of the United States, which decides that slavery is the institution which America was founded to protect, rather than our own liberties and freedom from England and the tyrannical rule of the king. This is just such a falsehood that's been called out by historians on both sides of the aisle. And this is what's being taught in school versus the 1776 Project, with Joe Biden laid it as being hateful. A more accurate depiction of the United States, one with patriotism, one which actually acknowledges that the United States has been a force for good, especially in comparison to all the other countries on the face of the earth, who would have wielded the power that the United States had post-World War II very differently. And the problem that I see here is when you are immersing children, and I have 2 children, and my son, 3 years old, is very, very open to new ideas. And when you implant these ideas, it takes forever. If he trusts you, if he takes them into account, whatever we tell him, he's going to adopt wholeheartedly. And he's a good kid with a good heart. And you tell him that America is hateful over and over, that it's a land of oppression over and over, and he has no other knowledge. When you have put things into context, America is a fantastic place. And when people are being taught that America is spiteful and oppressive and hateful, this does no good. And these are the people that are growing up that are going to be demanding more and more of our liberties because we're oppressive. And they want to be the ones who do the oppression, even if they don't acknowledge that somewhere deep within the confines of their mind. They believe that their way is best, that they know best, and they want to institute their rules and regulations and ideas on you. And if you don't kowtow, if you're a libertarian, if you believe in freedom of the individual, then John Brennan, the former director of the CIA, wants to classify you as a terrorist. And this is what I'm very much against. This is what is going to drive America down. and take the rest of the world with it. We are going to be falling into the canyon because the elders, those who are still alive, who have understood America to be good and a place of liberty, are growing smaller in number as the years progress, and all you're doing is replacing them. It's like having a factory, the education factory, that's just poisoning the mind of the people that are coming into the fold. And this is why they are trying to silence all the voices. And it is just sick, and it doesn't bode well for the country. And we have to be able to control the education system and reinstitute some form of patriotism and some fair and balanced view of the world where America is seen in the context and comparison to the world at large, and not to the utopia that you guys claim to want, when in fact the only thing that you're going to be creating is hell, much as the Soviets did, much as any place that tried communism or fascism. Whatever you guys wants to institute in the name of goodness is going to go by the wayside. And whatever society is that the left wishes to institute in our great nation that will turn it sour, because this is a recipe. This is like putting rotting cheese outside. It's not going to smell very good in a couple of days because you do not know how to create. You only know how to tear down. And this is what the left wants to do. They want to have a class that rules from a place of wanting to complain rather than wanting to build. And the education system is the place that I see as being the biggest catalyst of change for the future. And they have taken effective control over this and are trying to do away with charter schools, with schools from the church. They want one education system where they can mandate the ideas that go into our children's brain. And this I wholly and fully object to. And I want my son to be homeschooled if that's what it's going to take. If it's a group of like-minded parents that get together to teach our children the values. Unfortunately, most parents do not have this viable option because they have to work. And the children are going to school and being brainwashed into this malarkey, to quote President Biden, who wants to distribute the vaccine, who wants to distribute the funds of the people to those based on race.
Our priority will be Black, Latino, Asian, and Native American-owned small businesses.
And yet, we're the racists. Peace and blessings. If you like this video, thumb it up. Turn that like button blue. Subscribe, notification bell. Peace and blessings, everybody.